And we're live. So, hey, Russell, thank you so much for joining me on this live sold out coach challenge where we're going to kind of set the stakes high for both of us by live working together on your offer to see if we can get you to become a sold out coach. And I believe your exact words were watch you get sold out or what was it? You said
flame out in 30 days or less.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it's sold out or crash out, I think is some version of that. It's what we're working towards. So Russell, I'm excited to be talking about this with you. Let me just share real quick for anybody, well, I guess everybody who's tuning in for the first time and is like, what the heck is going on? So I have this new book coming out it's right there, pre-order sold out. Nope, it's that one. Sorry. Yeah. We have a new book coming out called Sold Out Coach that's now available for pre-order. That as we're recording this comes out in 2 weeks and a day. And so, which is a book on exactly how to earn $10,000 or more per month, group coaching 90 minutes per week. It's really focused on helping you become a sold out coach, hence the name Sold Out Coach. So Russell and I were talking about how to help him make his own transition and realize that it might be kind of fun and hopefully a little entertaining, hopefully useful, and also just create a little bit of raise the stakes pressure for both of us to work together live. And so we're going to actually work through the 7 steps of the Sold Out Coach playbook together live over a couple of videos, over three videos that we're going to do together. We're going to work through this. And it's not just we're just going to be talking about it. Russell's actually already got hit up on his side. He is ready to hit send. So by the end of today's email, we're going to actually, by the end of today's video, we're actually going to hit send on an email to Russell's audience to introduce this new offer. So if you're tuning in live, then you get to ask questions, cheer us on, and see how it goes. So Russell, I'd love to know, first, if you would set the stage for us a little bit in terms of tell us a bit about you, your business, and why you want to launch your group coaching program.
Sure. So, hi, I'm Russell. I am a business tarot reader, clarity coach, and then also I've written 80 books. So that's what most people know me from. And so I changed basically my entire business in the past year. I had several other businesses that were focused specifically on authors before this. So most of these books are about authors. And then in January of this year, I made a hard break and started this business called Capitalist, which is about business clarity for chaos-minded creators. And it revolves around like coaching and my Capitalist blog, and then this app called Joy Looper that I just launched. And the idea is kind of optimizing for joy and making money doing it. And when I made that transition, I kind of turned away from a lot of the stuff that I'd been doing for a long time, which is I've launched maybe 12 products every year or more for the past 6 years. So close to 100 products in somewhere like 100 months. And I wanted to stop doing that. So I've been slowly inching down my launches. I just finished one for this the tarot deck that I developed. But other than that, I really don't have a lot of launches planned. And I was planning on like supplementing that with more and more subscription income, which hasn't happened. So my expenses have kind of stayed the same, which is a lot every month, and my income has dropped dramatically. I just finished my Q2 income report, and I like gasped when I saw the final numbers. So John and I joined John's program a couple of months ago, and this is it, John. Like honestly, like this is do or die for me. Like I don't have a backup plan. I mean, I have a couple of other things that are like I can try, but all of the strategies that I'd built for the last decade of my business, I kind of retired from shows. I stopped doing so many launches. I like don't have any books that I have in the hopper. Like this group coaching program is either it works or upside down question mark, like not profit.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to work, right? We're both betting on that. Which is why I decided we decided to do it live, but also to share that journey with people. And so thank you, Russell, for being willing to do this together. I think working in public like this, I hope it's useful for people to see the behind the scenes of like, how do you actually create and sell a group coaching program? I mean, candidly, I also hope it's a good preview of the playbook, the exact step-by-step playbook for creating and selling a group coaching program that I teach in the book Sold Out Coach. And so I would encourage you, man, I'll get this right eventually, like where I'm pointing, but I would encourage you to either go to soldout.coach or just scan that QR code and get your copy of the book so you can follow along the exact same playbook that Russell and I are going to be using together to create and sell his group coaching program. I myself, I'm John Meese. I'm the author of a handful of books, including Surf to Sell, my most recent book before Sold Out Coach, which is exactly how to sell premium programs with one free coaching call. And then my next book, Sold Out Coach, will soon take that place on the shelf as the kind of core focus. But as myself, beyond an author, I am a coach myself, and I run a program called Sold Out Coach Club, where at this point I've helped a couple hundred authors, creators, consultants, therapists, attorneys, investors come in and create sold out group coaching programs where they're earning at least $10,000 per month, group coaching 90 minutes per week. I have some clients who are now earning $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, or $100,000 per month from group coaching. I have some clients who broke the $1 million number. And so I think like I've seen what's possible with this and how if you can create a sold out group coaching program at the core of your business, you can buy back your time from your other commitments. You can add some peace of mind by creating essentially a cash cow or a part of your business that generates a lot of high profit revenue, but also something that's really highly rewarding, where you get to work closely with a handful of people who care deeply about the transformation you're trying to help people with, help people go through. And you get to actually guide into that process of dramatic change in a group coaching program. So that's been my focus for the last few years. And that's where this new book comes from, is sharing that playbook publicly. And that's also where this video comes from, is saying like, hey, let's also test that live. So Russell, thank you for sharing. The stakes are very high for you. I would say maybe the stakes are still high for me. Maybe not. I don't know if it's the same in terms of financially, but I definitely think the stakes are high for me. The fact that I've got a book coming out, and I'm saying, hey, let's test it. Let's actually test the book, because the book is designed to solve a problem. Let's use the book live as our resource to help you get sold out. So if this doesn't work, we're have to go back to the drawing board, but I'm sure it will. We're going to be committed to that. So Russell, let's talk first about step one of the Sold Out Coach playbook, which I know you're familiar with, is to find your target client bullseye. So first, let me just explain what this means, and let's talk through your target client bullseye. So we use this phrase target client a lot when we talk about you're actually going out there to create your a group coaching program or create any sort of offer, whether you're not doing group coaching, right? If you're selling courses, books, memberships, anything, even one-on-one freelancing or consulting services, typically as you go into that, you have a target client. Sometimes people say ICP, USP, there's all kinds of acronyms. But I think the word target's really key, because if you think about what is a target, it's these concentric circles where not all spots in the target are equal. I mean, you could be completely off target, but even on the target, there is this inner 10% in the center, which we call the bullseye, which is where you can get, if you're playing darts, it's where or archery, that's where you score the most points. In business, this is where if you can find that inner 10%, of people where you can have the most impact on their life right now, they need you the most, they're willing to invest the most, they're going to receive the most transformation. That's where the sweet spot is to actually have a premium program like this. You're going to have other products like books, a newsletter, a YouTube channel that's going to serve 100% of your target. But for a program like this, we're looking for that inner 10%. And so with that in mind, Russell, I'd love to know, how are you currently thinking about that with that lens of thinking about your target client as a whole, specifically zeroing on your bullseye target client? I'm curious kind of where you're at right now and how you think about and describe your bullseye target client.
Well, also, this is one step in my your winning axis. So I think a lot about the right human. And one thing that I will say that you didn't is I don't care about demographics at all. So people are often like, what is their age? What do they do? Like, what? Yeah. And I literally could not care about that. I have talked to thousands upon thousands of people in my career that are fans of mine. Some of them are 12, some of them are 80. And they all kind of have the same vibe. So the difference is like the demographics is what other people can see, and psychographics is like who you are inside. And so I mainly think about Jessica. So Jessica is a creator. She's an author who has been told for a decade during her career to do things certain ways. So like she's written to market. She's like been on all the platforms. She's done the ads. She's done the covers. She's done all of the things. And she's just kind of hated all of it. But mainly she's been reacting to what the market has told her because things have not worked out for her. So she's got 10 books out. and they're in multiple series, and just like she's had success. Like, she has a mailing list, like she's like, people resonate with her thing, but just like, it's not sustainable for her, and it's not fun for her. And she has decided that like she will never be successful, but mainly she's decided she will never be successful doing this thing, and she just kind of like blankly refuses to do any of this stuff and be caught in the BS before anymore. And what she does when she finds Capitalist is that she learns that like she is not broken, she's just been doing marketing wrong. Because the general core of Capitalist is that I believe deep down in my soul that every human being loves sales and marketing. Every single human being loves sales and marketing, because the end result of marketing is that you have a community. You build a community of people. And like, some communities traveled across the desert for 40 years to find a place where they can be together. And like, marketing and sales is less hard than that. So people will do almost anything to have belonging. And to have belonging, it's like right above safety in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the problem is that like, we've all been taught how to do it wrong. And the minute that you realize that you're told, oh, I'm right, actually, like, all of this is dumb and I hate it and I'm not going to do it anymore. And like, there are things inside of me that actually do resonate. Suddenly there's like a weight that comes off of Jessica's back, and she can be like, okay, now I'm at least interested. And I don't know if I believe you yet, but like, I know that I'm a balloon. What I mean by that is everyone's a balloon. That's the main undergirding idea of Capitalist is everyone is a balloon, which means you know how to fly. Every balloon innately exists with the ability to fly. Now, there are all sorts of reasons why you're not flying. Maybe you have a hole, maybe you popped, maybe you like aren't filled at all and just sitting on a table. Maybe you're filled with the wrong thing. Maybe you're not filled enough. Maybe you're stuck on something. Like, there's 1,000 reasons why you are not a balloon. But Jessica, for her whole life, has been told, you're actually a donkey that needs to become a balloon. But like, this whole time she was a balloon, all she needed was the blocks to be taken off, and she already knows how to fly. And that's a really empowering message. And I don't know, this is a lot of things that I've said about Jessica, but like, that is how deep I expect someone to be able to go on their target person. So I wanted to give you some idea.
Yeah, so you've gotten to know your target client bullseye, in detail, which I love. It just like, and I want to emphasize one thing you mentioned earlier about demographics versus psychographics. I find I use the phrase, same idea. I mean, I agree. The phrase I use in the book is identity versus intent. And I think like a lot of people do get stuck on this. Like, you ask them, who's your target client? And they'll say like, 45-year-old white men in Nebraska or something like that. And you're like, I mean, reality is 45-year-old white men in Nebraska want a lot of different things, right? And so when you're selling transformation, especially, this is true with every product, but especially when you're selling something that is really about transformation. So that's a course, a membership, a community, group coaching, mastermind, even a book, right? These are things that are about transforming into a new version of yourself to become healthier, wealthier, or happier. When you're selling one of those things, identity does not matter nearly as much as intent in terms of what are they trying to accomplish? Right? Like, what is someone trying to accomplish? And so if you're selling a weight loss program and you have a choice between saying, hey, I'm going to sell this weight loss program, and you have a choice between either selling to 45-year-old white men in Nebraska or people who want to lose weight, pick people who want to lose weight every time, because they're going to be the ones who are going to buy your product. Right. And so you can have both clarity on both identity and intent. Sometimes that makes sense. Right. Like, for example, I was just talking to a woman named Marie, who she's got an offer that's specifically on the intent is to eliminate morning sickness. Okay, well, for that one, the identity is going to be newly pregnant women, right? So that's good. Sometimes intent and identity are closely tied, but not always. And so, just want to emphasize that. I think that's a really important point. Russell, as part of this, finding your target client bullseye, then as we've talked through this, then I know this has led you to kind of shift a bit your core promise in terms of kind of what your business stands for as a whole. Could you share how that bullseye clarity has helped you change your vocabulary around your core promise for your brand or business?
Sure. I don't know if it was specifically the bullseye promise. You said something though that during our first session, which was there's a thing you teach and a thing you sell. And so the thing that I teach is optimize for joy and make money doing it. And like that joy is the engine. But nobody wants to spend that. No one wants to buy that because they think generally joy is frivolous instead of a core promise. And also it's just like nebulous. So I really started thinking about how, like, what is the buying mechanism? And we landed on clarity coaching for chaos-minded creators because most of the people that I coach want to dance in chaos all the time. They just want to like be creators. And the truth is that like if you want to do that, you need more structure than someone who like lives in order. Like you if you have the same routine every day, then you can in that routine put I go out and dance in a hurricane for like 3 hours, and like then you can always find your way back, but there's no way to find your way back. And like that is what I realized is the mechanic for somebody to actually pay. It's how do I keep tethered to my business and my reality so that I can always find my way back. And optimizing for joy is the mechanism to teach all of these things about how you can just dance in the chaos. But like business clarity for chaos-minded creators and the 10x promise I know we're talking about next is like, that is the actual thing that people will pay for.
Love it. Business clarity for chaos-minded creators. I love that. But that's a great illustration of a principle from the book Sold Out Coach: sell people what they want, give them what they need, which is a lot of people struggle with this, is that the more we know about our field of expertise, the more we're tempted to like sell what people is the medicine, right? It's like what people need, what people need. I mean, that's the same thing as a parent. I struggle with this too, right? Like I know what they need, but I have to figure out a way to like cover it with what they want, right? Or to like connect it with what they want to get them to do willingly. And it's the same thing in coaching. And so it's we got to sell people what they want and then give them what they need. I'll share just a brief illustration on that. This is the story from the book Sold Out Coach as well. If you haven't pre-ordered that, then please go ahead and do that. But in there, I talk about this. I mean, imagine so I live in Puerto Rico. And so it's hot outside. So I don't have to imagine that, right? If I walk outside, if I'm walking into the street, and imagine as the heat starts, pounding down on me, if I start feeling this tension building in my chest, I'm sort of wheezing, I'm having trouble breathing, and I'm kind of starting to freak out a little bit. If I jump in the car, drive to the closest urgent care clinic, sit down with the doctor, and I'm like, ¿qué está haciendo a mi cuerpo? Like, what's happening to me? Like, and I'm talking to the doctor, I'm trying to describe what's happening to me, and he looks at me. There's a good chance that he'll just look at me and say, albuterol. Now, maybe he'll say, albuterol, or something like that, but he'll say albuterol. That's a very common response for a doctor in that situation. Now, what that does is in my state, if I don't know what the heck he's talking about, that just leaves me feeling more confused, helpless, and it doesn't solve any problem for me at all. But the reason why that this is so easy for the doctor to do this is because he knows that I'm exhibiting all the symptoms of exercise-induced asthma. And he knows that the best way to give me immediate relief is with an inhaler. And he knows that the most common prescription medication inhalers in the US, including Puerto Rico, is albuterol. But if I don't know that, I'm just like, what are you talking about? And so instead, what I want him to do is to look at me in my state of stress and overwhelm when I'm struggling to breathe. And I just need him to say, I can help you breathe again. And if he says that, if he says, I can help you breathe again, I'm going to relax. I'm going to lean in and say, that's exactly what I want. Now, how do I do it? And now I'm ready to receive the medicine. But as coaches, we need to make sure that we offer people the cure, not the medicine. We need to stop selling the medicine, start selling the cure, right? It's never seen albuterol and I can help you breathe again. So Russell, I'm grateful that talking to you, that was helpful for you to get this clarity. And I love that business clarity for chaos-minded creators. I think that's so clear in terms of your bullseye is. And so before we go on to the next step of crafting your 10x promise offer, I want to check in a little bit. Let's talk about your goals with this, right? So, we know we're launching a group coaching program, and our goal is to get you 100% sold out this month. But tell me more about that in terms of, do you have a particular income goal or impact goal from this launch that we can use to make sure we're designing the right offer to meet that need?
Sure. Yeah. So I have a good one and a weird one. So
Okay.
So I've been doing this a long time. And the truth is that just like no one does anything, like 3% of people actually change. And most people, it's not. So we say this as a negative, but I actually think the reason is because they think that they're doing the right thing, but they're actually doing the wrong thing. Like, for instance, I will often be on a call with somebody and they will say, "Hey, I used your method to design my sales page." And then they pull it up and I say literally something along the lines of, "Don't ever say that again. There's no way, there's no world in which that sales page came from my methodology." And they're like, "What did I do wrong?" And I'm like, literally everything. Like, it's easier to tell you what you did right, but like, they did the work. So what I want is for people to stop doing it wrong. So I have this program called our Alicorn program. All of my capitalist stuff is very like unicorn and like weird and magical related. But the way that I pitch it is like, I don't want you as a client. The problem is you won't do quarterly evaluations. You just won't sit down quarterly and do it. It doesn't matter what I do. I could ship it to your house. I could like sit on a Zoom with you all day while you do it. But like, unless you have the fear of me being like disappointed in you, you're not going to do it. You just will not do it. And like, I could either fight that, or I could just open up the ability for quarterly coaching sessions. So like, this is like the only coaching session that I continue to remain to this day is some people can find, I let some people book 30 or 60-minute sessions with me still. But like, in general, the only coaching that I do is one 90-minute quarterly coaching session a quarter. And it is because you won't do it otherwise. And so for this program, which is an accelerator, is that people are doing the story wrong. Like, people are just telling the wrong story and they're changing the story. And the reason why you hate marketing and sales is because you hate the story you're telling. I generally can't say that to a book audience because then they think I'm saying, "Oh, you mean I hate my book?" But you're hating the sales. Like, you're telling a different sales story. You're reacting to the platform instead of saying, "Oh, this is my story. How can I get this story out on YouTube or LinkedIn or all of these things?" You're saying LinkedIn needs X thing. I'm just going to make whatever. And like, maybe you do it with AI, maybe you do it with yourself, maybe you even have some traction somewhere, but like, it doesn't lead back anywhere. And I just thought everyone had this story, the single story, this like one story, the narrative thread that goes across everything that you do. And it turns out even people that have been listening to me for 10 years, read every one of my books, still do not have this story. And when I sit down and coach with people and I ask them, "Great, tell me your sales story," they go, "What is that?" And I'm like, literally 2.9 million words, John. That's how many words that I have written or spoken in the past 10 years. And literally, that they don't understand the one underlying concept, which is the entirety of makes everything else work and makes everything else simple. So in order to have joy in your business, in your life, you have to have that tether. And that story is the tether. That having that story allows you to sit in chaos. It allows you to look at everything and get lost and be like, "Wait, that's interesting. Wait, does that help further my story? Does that help further my story? Does being on this YouTube video help tell my story?" And we have a whole easeful joy loop in Capitalist. But if you don't know that story, then none of the other things work because you don't know how to do. Like, how do you know what is going to bring people through to your sales funnel?
So it sounds like part of the impact goal then is that you want people to really take your most important content really seriously and embed it in their business because you believe it's going to transform the rest of their business. And there's a common thing I hear from people who've been creating, whether it's writing or videos or podcasts, like what you've been creating for a long period of time. That's a very common frustration I hear, is just saying like, look, I feel like so many people who actually seem to like my work aren't actually following my advice or like doing the thing that I tell them to do. Right. And so one way you can, a group coaching program is a great way to hold people accountable over a period of 8 to 12 weeks to help them make that change and really implement that. So that sounds that good. So impact goal is to get them to install this story, which we'll talk more about in a minute in part of step 2. But what about income goal? So do you have any particular income goals for the launch of this new program?
I mean, I want to sell it out. So 25 grand, that's the top
Okay.
number. So, I mean, I'd love to go more than 25 grand, but you gave me a hard cap of how many people I can have and how many things. And like the thing that I appreciate most about you, John, is how many constraints you put. Like, I know this is like the opposite of what most people would say. Like, it's so
Mhm.
simple, but like, I know how hard it is to make something simple and effective. And I know, as a person who is loquacious in like to the nth degree, I understand how having somebody say, just do the 4 words. Like, it's 4 words. Why are you saying it in 20 words? And like, because like it's prettier in 20 words. And you're like, just make it 4 words. And so you told me the maximum amount of humans that I can have in this program and the maximum amount of money I can make in this program for the first time. And that is what I'm sticking to. The reason why I think this is going to work, this video series is going to be successful, hopefully, is because I'm literally just going to do, I have no ego about this.
Amazing.
I'm going to do the exact words you say. And like, then if you tell me to cut something, that's what I'm going to do. And so it's 25 grand because that's what you told me the maximum amount for the first time coach program should be.
Amazing. Let's break down that math for anybody who's thinking about following along with this. And of course, all this math is also in much more detail broken down inside of Sold Out Coach. So if you haven't yet pre-ordered your copy of Sold Out Coach, consider this your infomercial style reminder to please get your copy of Sold Out Coach, the book, so you can yourself get sold out. But let's break down the math. So whenever you're launching a new program, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what niche you're in, I always recommend you start with opening it up for just 5 clients to pay $2,000. Why 5? Why 2? Well, I'll explain real quick. So 5 clients because A, you count on one hand. So no matter how many, as long as you got all your fingers. So no matter how large your audience is or how small your audience is, you can find 5 of your bullseye target client. If you cannot find 5 of your bullseye target client, that means you either need to pick a different bullseye target client, or it means you need to go where they are and you need to spend time with them, you need to connect with them, you need to build a relationship with them. And so it's a good 5 is also a good solid core group. If you just get 5 and you're 100% sold out, amazing. You have a solid group of people you can lead with and you can start with. Also, candidly, if you sell 5, there's going to be one person who like misses half the sessions. You still got 4 people. That's a solid group, right? Once you get a little smaller than that, like 2 or 3 people, it's kind of hard to have a group dynamic if you just got 2 or 3 people. But once you get 5 clients at $2,000 and now you're sold out, what I recommend then is that you focus on getting to that first sold out milestone really quickly. And that's when we publicly communicate that you're sold out. And then you open up 5 more spots at $3,000 in the same cohort. Right. So Russell, if you follow that playbook, that means 5 clients at $2,000 is $10,000. And then another 5 at $3,000 is $15,000 at 10 and 15. That's where we get the $25,000 number. So for your first cohort, that's always my advice in terms of launching a new program like this. Now, we'll talk in a future video about all of the scaling math and what you can do from there. But I do have clients now who are in over $100,000 per cohort, and that's very possible. There's a lot of ways to accomplish that. But even if you can, I recommend you start small and scale up as you go, because you start to build this sold out momentum, right? Where people want what they can't have and they start leaning in to learn more about the program. And it's much easier to sell a program that's sold out, honestly, because it puts you in a position of authority where instead of you knocking down doors and chasing people down, they're reaching out to you, right? And so we want to create that dynamic because it's a lot, honestly, just a more enjoyable way to sell. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to launch our program with the goal of getting 5 clients to join for $2,000 and another 5 for 3, and then you're 100% sold out in their first cohort.
Well, and that is the most 3. I mean, yeah. So we used to sell a mastermind for $2,000. Like, I'm confident at the $2,000 number. I have sold a $3,000 program. Above that number, I've never done. I've like we had like we used to sell sponsorships and such for conferences for like $5,000-$10,000. But otherwise, like I'm confident in the $2,000-$2,500 number. So it's good for me because it helps me think about like scale. Here's one question that I have. Okay, so this is not going to be a question that probably most people have, but like, my audience, I have like a mailing list of close to 40,000 people. And so like, let's say I book 20 calls, and like from that first initial 20 calls, like 10 people want to sign up. Like, am I saying, oh, sorry, we only had 5 people? Like, I'm hoping I have this question, but like, what do you do if all of the people from your first email, like they all want to be in the first cohort?
That is best case scenario, right? It's like you have if you're already oversubscribed, we're out of the gate, you have more people who want the thing than you have spots. So so when we get to the sales, okay, so the reality is, because the initial sales are all one-to-one, like, so we're actually inviting people on a call and doing that. The reality is, you're not talking to a group of 10 or 20 people. You're talking to one person at a time. So you're telling them, hey, I've got 3 spots left, and then I've got 2 spots left, and then I've got 1 spot left. And then, hey, we're 100% sold out, right? So before your next meeting, you're going to decide, am I opening up more spots in this cohort, or am I opening a future cohort? Because I will say, even though our goal is to have sold out cohorts, the program itself should always be open for enrollment in the next cohort. And so one way that Russell, that could look for you is that we sell 5 spots at $2,000. The next person you meet with, you say, amazing. We're 100% sold out, but I just opened up 5 more spots. So that means I do have a spot available for you. Would you like to join? And that spot is $3,000. Right. So they join. And then again, it's 4 spots left, 3 spots left, 2 spots left, 1 spot left, 100% sold out. At that point, what I would recommend is that you pick the next start date. So I think, and if I remember correctly, we had some time constraints on this too. We should talk about that, right? So this is July 6th. While we're recording this, we are starting the sales process today. So the goal is to get you 100% sold out this month. And then actually, typically what I recommend is that you structure your group coaching programs that you're delivering at over 8 sessions. You can't do 8 to 12 sessions. Most people do 1 session a week for 8 weeks, but I do have some clients who are doing exactly what you're doing, Russell. So let's tell us real quick. So what's happening in September? Let's start there.
Okay, so in September, I'm going to New York, London, Paris for basically the whole month. So I'm unavailable.
Ooh.
So and then in the second to last week of this month, I'm going to Comic-Con. So basically, I have the remainder of July to sell this coach out, and I have to start it on basically April 3rd. I have to run a minimum of August, 2 sessions a week. August 3rd, and I have to run a minimum of 2 sessions a week so that I can then go to Paris and not think about it. So yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to like do like a month in between, but I was like, this is ridiculous. Like these are the constraints. I have to sell it in July. I have to teach it in August, and I have to start opening stuff for my next cohort, which can be in August, in probably November or October. But like those are very hard constraints, which is why when you emailed me about doing this, I was like, this is actually like literally like a very high stakes thing that I've already set. Like I was already worried about setting it out. So I always like doing this stuff in public. So it like sets up its own really compelling drama.
Yeah. So yes. So there's no backup plan, right? It's like, we have to get sold out in July because you have to deliver the thing in August because you're booked out. You're fully booked in September. You're unavailable. That also means your next cohort probably couldn't start till like October. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. So now I want to come back to your question. So what if you sell all 10 spots and you still have some people who are interested in joining? Well, then you tell them, hey, we're 100% sold out right now. Our next program starts in October. Would you like to go ahead and pay a deposit to save your spot? And so, I mean, honestly, like that's kind of the dream, is to get to that point. I have clients who get to the point where they're consistently 100% sold out 6 weeks in advance of their cohort starting. Because if you always have more demand coming in than you have cohorts coming up, that allows you to be in that position, which honestly is a place for you, a place of abundance and security, but also for the clients. If they're committing to, hey, in October, I'm going to dramatically change my life or business by going to this program. It helps people actually mentally prepare by putting a deposit down in advance, but also planning their calendar to make sure that they can really dedicate time to that. And I will say, even though, Russell, in your case, you're taking the 8-session program and delivering it in 4 weeks, primarily because of just your own scheduling constraints. First of all, that's real life. Life happens, and we need to design a program that actually does feel your life. Second of all, I have several clients who've actually found that works better in their industry, where they've gone to people who are saying, well, I'm just too busy. And they're saying, hey, what if we just focused on 1 month running this whole thing instead of stretching this out over 2 or 3 months? Let's run the exact same framework, but just an accelerator where we're doing it in a single month. And I've had several clients where that's gone amazingly well. So I think I feel good about this. It is high stakes, but I think I still feel good about it. So let's talk about your 10x promise offer, because this is the next step of really when you're crafting an offer. It's not to create a sales page. Your next step is not to go create a whole like massive outline of the whole thing. It's to get really clear. We just talked about this, the medicine versus the cure. It's to get really clear on what is the cure, what is the promise. And so we call this the 10x promise. Every group coaching program has to have a 10x promise. And a 10x promise is a single sentence that clearly communicates the transformation that people are going to get by going through your program. And it's very focused on getting people what they want and avoiding what they're afraid of, right? Help them get their desire without their fear. And so it does take a lot of work to get this one sentence. So I know, Russell, you're going to share, we've already kind of worked through a few different versions, and we may make some edits live. We'll see. But your 10x promise does take some work to refine it. But once you have it, it becomes the seed for every other part of the sales process. So Russell, would you share what you've got so far, kind of what you've come up with for your 10x promise offer?
Yeah, absolutely. Just let me share. Should be a thing down there there we go. Okay, so this is the same offer, by the way. So like I've kept what I wanted to sell the entire way, which is basically the winning axis, like the whole time. But like it has changed dramatically. Both from your group and your own, like we sat on the phone for a while to fix this. But like the first one for you who are not who are just listening, sell anything on demand without ever feeling sleazy, gross, or awkward about it ever again. The second one is magnetize superfans who resonate. Oh, actually, I'll tell the story behind it. So like I put this up and everyone hated it. Universally, like did not no good feelings from this one. And so then I felt I felt real ways about this for I was like, what's even the point of doing this thing? Which is like but like then I was like, okay, like let's I enrolled in this program. I'm going to take it seriously. Probably I would have just like abandoned it at this point if I wasn't in this program. So like don't abandon it because you are like you're making something that needs iteration and probably some like interaction with humanity before you actually send it to your whole list. So,
well, Russell, let me chime in on that real quick, just so that people looking at this, if you never looked at a 10x promise and you're like, what exactly is this? I mean, the underlying formula for a 10x promise offer is essentially get result without roadblock or get desire without fear. But you never end up with like a promise that looks exactly like that. That's just what you're trying to communicate. Is you're trying to communicate, hey, we're going to hit the gas pedal on what you already desire, right? The intent. But while we're also taking our foot off of the brake pedal, which you're afraid of. So we're trying to do both those things at the same time. That's what helps people make a buying decision about your program. It's not how many hours of coaching is there, how many secret recipes do they get access to, how many tips and tricks and how much work is involved. That's not what causes someone to buy your program. Ultimately, it's this promise of a future version of themselves that they already desire. You may be putting it in words they've never said before, but you're not inventing a desire. You're really just tapping into an existing desire they already have.
Ooh, so Russell, the first
version, please jump in.
So I would say actually what you're trying to do is also manifest a desire that they already have but have never vocalized. If you can do that, then that is how you can. We call it pre-handling objections in sales, and you probably did too. And there's not really a better word for it, even though it's like kind of a gross word and I hate. But like pre-handling objections is like the ability to say, "Oh my God, you know exactly the problem that I have." Like this is like if you can start this promise by saying, "Oh my God, like that's exactly what I want." Like I didn't even know you could get that thing, but like that is what I want. Then suddenly people like lower their like shoulders and they're like, okay, I'm willing to hear more.
100%. Yeah. So I would position that as like really trying to position you as an empathetic guy, that you're a guy that like you are a guy that they can trust, but you're empathetic. You're saying, look, I get it. I see you. I get what you want. I get what you're afraid of, and we're going to get there anyways. And like, if you can position yourself as an empathetic guide, it just makes it so much, honestly, so fun to sell. Like to your point, Russell, we were saying like people like actually secretly love sales. They just kind of hate the way they're currently selling. It's like, once you can position yourself as an empathetic guide, it's fun to be in that position because you get to reassure people, you get to encourage them, you get to inspire them. And that's what this whole process is. So this first version here of saying like, it's like, hey, what do they want? And you said, sell anything on demand. Okay, what are they afraid of? Well, they don't want to feel so without ever feeling sleazy, gross, or awkward about it ever again. So I would say this version still gets probably like a B minus in terms of like it followed the framework. But the feedback that you got from me and other people in our community, we looked at it, was essentially that it's like it sounds good until you think like, what does it actually mean? And it's like both too big of a promise and too vague of a promise at the same time, which is a common mistake people make. I just want to emphasize that, because I think if someone's looking at this trying to figure out, okay, how do I actually do this on my own, right? Well, the reality is you probably do need to find, if not in the Sold Out Coach Club community, you need to find another coach or community, or just other people in your life you can test this with and say, hey, is this what you want? Yeah. So talk us about version 2 here, right? So you have version 1 there on the top, and then tell us about version 2, Russell.
Okay, so y'all were right, and I was like, okay, so like I'm really talking to creators, so the word sell is bad. You don't want to say the words. You definitely don't want to be the first word that a creator hears, because like they don't care about the money. They care about the resonance with other people and the impact. So it is a lot like talking to coaches or entrepreneurs or like heart-based, mission-based humans, is like they care about the impact they're having, and money is the afterburn of running a good business. And that's kind of what I said even in 2015 when I launched my first book. It's like money is the byproduct of running a good business. And so the second one is magnetize superfans who resonate with your work so deeply they'll gleefully hand over their credit card without ever having to hard sell them anything ever again. And that's better, but I can't even say that in one breath. And like, that is daunting to ever, like, that's so much. It's so much. I like look at it and I'm like, technically that is better in the fact that it is more you call it the purple cow or the purple elephant. I forget which one you use.
Purple elephant. Yeah. It's funny, is purple cow is like Seth Godin's thing. I actually started by calling it a pink elephant, but people started calling it a purple elephant, and I just went with it. But to just illustrate the purple elephant concept, it's essentially this idea of saying like, hey, if I ask you right now, and so if you're watching this, don't watch this now. Close your eyes for a minute, just listen for a minute, and I want you to picture in your mind a purple elephant. It's kind of weird, questionable why you're doing this in the first place, but you can picture it, right? All you required were 2 words to vividly picture it in your mind: purple elephant. That's the goal. One of the tests we run with the 10x promise is say, does it pass the purple elephant test? Can you see it in your mind and eyes? Like, because then something sounds really clever, and then you're like, can you see that? And it's hard to actually wrap your head around. Like people will, this comes out a lot where people will use words like become or transform. And they'll say like become a, and then, or transform into a, and it sounds good until you like actually like try to picture it in your mind, and you're like, actually, I don't know what that looks like. So version 2 here, we're getting somewhere, but it's still too long. There's still too much in there. And as you said, Russell, you can't even say in one breath. So talk us through the final edit here to version 3 in terms of the 10x promise.
Okay, so after this one, I was frustrated, and I emailed John and I was like, I'm frustrated. And we hopped on a call and we did this one basically from this number 2 to number 3 together on this call. And one of the things you ask is like, you said it's like, this feels like a lot. Like, not that it's just a lot of words, but just like, this feels like I'm going to have to do so many things. And I was like, actually, it's just a single, like one story. You tell one 3-minute story and you have a super fan. And I was like, people never believe me, but it's like, you may not make someone buy $3,000 products, but like I have literally in 5 minutes, like got someone to come to our mastermind for like $2,000 from like not knowing them beforehand. So like, it is very possible to do this thing in 3 to 5 minutes. And frankly, if you can't tell a single story that does this, you probably can't find super fans, because the reason why scaling works is because of simplicity. And so just like purple elephant, the fewer words you say to get somebody to excited about what you do, the more likely they can then tell other people. And virality is just, after I tell John, like there's a reason for John to be interested. And then if John tells Jill, then there's a reason for Jill to be interested because John knows Jill. But once Jill doesn't have any vested interest in me or John, if she then can sell it, she then wants to share it with other people, then you get virality. That's the only way you get virality, and that does not happen when you have magnetized super. What does Russell do? He magnetizes. I'm not even going to say it again. It's so exhausting. But like, he shows you how to tell a single story and turn your business into a super fan magnet. Like, that is a thing that is like, first of all, people say BS. And just like when I say everyone loves sales, they go like, no, I don't love sales. And I'm like, great. Like, well, let's talk about this. And like, so go for it. Are you muted, John?
Yeah, right. You can hear me now?
Now I can hear
Okay.
you.
Sorry about that. Let me just chime in on that one real quick. I do think you're right. That, like, when you say things, there's a difference here that I want to emphasize, because you said, like, if I say like sales, everyone loves sales, there's a lot of people who are like, no, they don't. And that is a maybe conversation starter, but that's not what that's definitely not the direction we're looking for the 10x promise here. When you say tell a single story that turns your business into a super fan magnet, I'm like, well, what story? Right? Like, it invites a very specific curiosity of like, what story you're talking about. I want to learn about the single story, right? I want to learn how to do that. I think if you let it the other way, right, where you said like turn your business into a super fan magnet, already the skeptics come out and they go, I mean, I don't know, maybe not. You know, by telling a single story, it's like, oh, okay. But if I just open with you're saying like tell a single story that turns your business to a super fan magnet, now all of a sudden that is attractive, that is intriguing, that's exciting. You could add the phrase where it makes sense. You can add the phrase making marketing hella fun, but I also think like that's probably sort of like a bonus add-on, you know, to the 10x promise. But that's good. So what do we do with this, right? Let's actually take this into step 3, right? So typically what we do is we take a 10x promise and then we actually put it into a hand raiser. Now, what a hand raiser is a message that you send. Well, let's think about it this way. Where does the name come from, right? Imagine you're standing on a stage in front of an audience of a couple people. Well, maybe not a couple people. Let's say a couple hundred people, right? So you're standing on stage in front of an audience of 200 or 300 people, or 40,000 people, and you're looking for 5 or 10 people in that audience very specifically. How would you get their attention? Well, maybe you would ask them to raise their hands. You would say like, hey, if you're one of the people who, one of those like, hey, if you lost raise your hand if you lost a wad of $20 bills wrapped in a rubber band, I've got your rubber band. Right. So like that whole situation might happen. But all jokes aside, like the goal is when you have a huge list of people like that, you ask someone to raise their hands. That is where it becomes super useful when you're talking to an email list. To send an invitation to ask people to raise their hand. So we're not asking them to buy. That's a huge leap to go straight from like, are you interested in achieving this transformation to like buy the program? We're not ready to do that. What we're doing is a hand raiser email this is when we send an email that is meant to get people to reply and say some version of yes, or that's me. So this is an email which typically has no links, nothing to click. It's a very simple invitation. Always answer the question, asking people to reply. Now, hand raisers as a category, there are actually dozens and dozens of hand raiser examples that I included in the book, Sold Out Coach. And so there's all kinds of templates you can use for these. We're going to focus on right now the ones we typically use to actually launch a new program. So when we're launching a new program, what I find is the hand raisers that work best. There's one that's called the 1 to 10x hand raiser, and there's one that's called the Who Do You Know hand raiser. So let's start with the 1 to 10x hand raiser. So Russell, the 1 to 10x hand raiser is the simplest one. So this is where we typically just send a message that this is always where we start. The subject line should be quick question with a semicolon. Yeah, I was debating colon, semicolon. Yeah, it's 1, 2 dots. Yeah, quick question should be the subject line, and the email itself is, would you like to 10x promise? Russell. Now, you can't say, would you like to work with me as a coach to 10x promise? But that's really the only edits to that. So, yeah. So let's go ahead.
So
it's okay. Yeah. So I know you drafted one, and I'm curious if I think it's an expanded maybe version of that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that together. Yes. So what have you got here? Why don't you walk me through this?
Okay, so I took what you said and then made it bigger and more and added more things to it because that's just what I do. And that's the reason why, again, I have so much value in this program. So my subject line is, if you hate sales, it's because you hate the story you're telling. And then I said, the text is, hi. I truly, from the bottom of my soul, believe every human on this planet loves marketing and sales. The problem is everybody has been taught to do it the wrong way, especially the people training you to do it wrong. I'm looking for 5 people who want to tell a single story that turns your business into a super fan magnet, making marketing hecka fun. Does that sound like you? Reply and tell me why you hate sales. We'll see if we're a good fit. P.S. The viscerally negative reaction you're feeling to this email is a pretty good indicator you should reply. Remember, if it worked, it would be working. So many more.
I love that.
So many more words than you just told me.
Yes. So Russell, I would say this is actually pretty close to a version of the hand raiser called the 5130 that is worth sending in the future. So I think you should save this draft. I don't think you should kill it, but I do think that when you're launching a new program, let me actually keep this up for a second. Let me show you real quick. There's 2 reasons why this doesn't work for launching a new program. One is because you're opening with a persuasive story to try to change someone's mind. When we're looking for our founding members, we're looking for somebody who already believes the conclusion, right? So instead of you opening with your belief of like, here's what I believe, and you're trying to persuade people, it's like we're actually looking for people who already agree with you for our founding members, so we don't have to convince them. Secondly, when you say I'm looking for 5 people, what that tells me is, oh, this is a product marketing email. Right, you're trying to sell me a product, right? You're looking, and there's never 5 people reading your email at the same time, right? Like, there's not 5 people in a conference room with your email up on the screen, right? That doesn't really happen. And so generally, what you're talking to one person. And so part of our goal with a hand raiser is to close the gap, because most marketing creates a gap between you and your target client. I mean, a typical campaign would be way more gap even than you have right here. A typical campaign would be like, I sent an email that has a link to go to a page where hopefully you watch the video, maybe you read the page, maybe you click the button to find out the price, hopefully you fill out your contact information, maybe you pick a payment plan, maybe you buy, maybe you don't, right? And so that's this gap between you and your client or customer, which most online marketing creates a huge gap. We're trying to close the gap as much as possible. So we want this to feel like an email, Russell, that's just between you and the person that you're talking to directly.
Sure.
And we want to make sure that it's way more focused on the promise than the product.
Sure.
There are future hand raisers where it makes sense to talk about the product, but in this case, we're talking about the promise. So let's go ahead and create a new one.
All right. So I'm not going to delete it here. I'm going to create.
Don't delete it. Save it. Yeah, create a new one.
A new post. And the title is quick.
Quick question with a semicolon. Or a colon, sorry. I was actually debating. I was like, what's the one with the 2 dots? Like, wait. No.
Wait, quick question.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
No, that's it. Quick question.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And the message itself is, would you like to?
You don't even say hi. Just would you like to?
No, don't say hi. Would you like to? And then 10x promise. So, would you like to tell a single story that turns your business into a super fan magnet? And if you want to add the making your marketing hella fun, you can. It's up to you.
I only added it because you had it in there. This is fine for me.
Okay, great. I think this is great.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell a single story that turns your business into superfan magnet - Russell? So even if you have a normal sign off you would do, this goes for everybody. Even if you have like a normal, like I always say, keep up the good work. When you're sending a hand raiser like this, don't.
Okay.
So question, because I know you're sending this on Ghost. Is this a post or is this an email, or how does that work exactly?
I'm going to send it as a
email only. Sweet. Okay. So I'm trying to remember how Ghost emails come across. Is it really obvious how to reply? Does it come from your email address?
I've never sent an email like this to people in Ghost, but they just reply. They just like hit reply and it goes to my admin email. That I did test before there because I figured this would be a bad idea to do if if
you can't actually get the replies.
Emails. Yeah, that would be not great.
Yeah. Is there an option to preview? There is. Can you click the preview button? Let's click on the email at the top. There's an option to preview the email.
Yeah.
Subject line, quick question. Ooh, okay. So what I want to know is there a way to take out all this other stuff from this email?
Sure.
Yeah, like take off the header image, take off the keep reading, that kind of stuff. I understand why that would make sense in other.
So should I send this in Mail Blast? I would have to.
I would send it. I would send it in Kit, but I'm not sure what our options are here.
I have Kit, I have Mail Blast, but like I don't have a full. I don't have my full list in Kit. I have my buyer list in Kit, but then I have.
Well, that would be interesting. Test. First of all, let's see if you. I don't know if you open the sidebars. Can you hide like the other stuff that's normally in the emails?
I don't think in the email thing. I mean, I could
Okay, I
go
don't know.
through
Yeah,
and find all the settings in the thing, like while we're talking, and see if it's possible. But like,
yeah. Oh, but look over there on the right under template. Is there an option that's like a template that's like text only or
no,
something
because
like
that's
that?
on the no, because that's for the
Okay,
what happens on the website, not what
gotcha.
happens in the
Okay,
email.
all right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can
What?
go
Well,
through. If you take me off thing, I can try and fix the email part while we're
yeah.
talking.
Why don't we do that? So why don't we do that, and I'll explain real quick. So when we're sending an email like this, the reason why we did preview, I'm so glad we did that, is because we always want to make sure it looks human, right? So if you have normal things you include, like a newsletter header, like some fancy design, any of that kind of stuff would normally be there, or like here's a link to some other articles. I mean, generally that's fine, but in this case, we don't want that. In this case, we want this to come across as close as possible to like a text email that's from you that says, "Hey, quick question. Perfect. Quick question. Would you like to 10x promise? That's your name." This is the one in 10x answer. It's the simplest. It's going to get a lot of replies. Now, you might be thinking, well, hold on a minute, John. That's not going to sell my program. And the answer is, you're right. It's not at first. What it is a test of, do they want the promise? So it's not checking, can they afford it? Do they want to buy your group coaching program? Any of those things. It's just checking the first thing. Do they actually want the promise of your program? So what happens is when people say yes, now you reply to them. And our first reply to them, we call this a tell me more question. The first reply to them is, would you tell me a bit about yourself and your current situation? And so usually I include some version of like a preamble here. Like I say, excellent, I'm glad to hear you're interested. Would you tell me a bit about yourself and your current situation? Whatever would be on brand for you to reply there, like, whether that's like rad or sick or cool or whatever. But then the question is, would you tell me a bit about yourself and your current situation? That question is open-ended and both specific and broad by design, because what happens is some people, they look at that question and they don't reply at all. They just move on. And that kind of tells you what you need to know, which is that it wasn't a high priority for them to solve this problem of accomplishing the 10x promise. Some people will reply to that, would you tell me a bit about yourself and your current situation? And they reply to that, and some people send you a 1 or 2 sentence answer that says like, I need my business is stalled. I need to get more clients or whatever that is. Some people reply with paragraphs, just essays about their whole business and life history. That is what you're looking for, because that's somebody that is super. Not only do they trust you enough to share all of that, but they're also they really want the promise that you're offering. So whenever someone replies, then what we do is, if they're a good fit, we reply again and say, if it looks like they're a good fit from what they described, we're going to invite them onto a serve call, which we'll talk about in serve calls in more detail in a future video, although that is also the focus of a different book, Serve to Sell. But it's part of this process is to give a serve call. And so what you'll do in that follow-up email is, so you send one that says, would you tell me a bit about yourself and your current situation? They reply to that. Now you reply. And you reply and say, you acknowledge what they said, right? So like, thank you for sharing all that detail. I'd love to help out. Would you schedule a coaching call to see if or how I can help you achieve your goal, right? And so that invitation is divided into one free coaching call, which is a serve call, right? Which is the next part of the sales process for this. So we don't have that link. That link is not in the email, right? That not like in the marketing email, it's going to the whole list. That link is in the individual reply to people that seem like they're a good fit. So back to you, Russell. I'm curious how it's going. I'm also wondering if it's easier for us to send a kit, or do you have it where you need?
Here, let's see. Put it
Let's
back
see.
on, and we'll see how it looks.
Oh, perfect. Would you like to? That's great. That's love it. The only thing I would add is a lot of blank space after your name. Literally go back into the editor, and after Russell, put like return, or enter. I mean, like 8 times. Because then what it does is the unsubscribe link is still there, but it's a little, Ghost is trying to be clever. They took it away. So go back after all those. Can you just put like 8 lines, and then at the very bottom add like a dot or something?
Oh yeah, sure.
I'll see if that works. See, we're trying to hack them. We're trying to hack. Ghost is trying to be clever now. Edit your email for you. Okay, well that's fine. I mean, that's not a deal breaker, but generally, ideally, I love to have some blank space there, so that we're not we're inviting them to reply. We're not inviting them to. That's one way to do it. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it works. It works. I like it. Quick question: would you like to tell a single story that turned your business into a superfan magnet? Russell.
See if I can do without the period, just with the space.
No.
No. Okay. Well, there's a period now. If you're
That's
okay
fine.
with this, I'm okay with this.
I'm okay with
I
it.
mean, I'm doing
All right.
whatever you say, whatever you want me to
This
do.
is great. This is great. Go ahead and hit send. Email only.
All right. You ready?
Amazing. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Should I tell people?
Tune in next time. Yeah, tune in next time to find out what happened after Russell sent this crazy one-line email to 37,000 human beings.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. You know, remember what I told you the first time? It's like I don't know if a group coaching program will work for me, but I'm very sure that you're the only person that can get me to actually have one that works. So, like, this is still how I feel right now. I'm like,
we'll find out
a lot of work.
We'll
this is like 3 months of work, like live right now. You are seeing the fruits of all of it in one line of email.
Yeah, amazing. All right. So your email was sent, and so we'll see how it goes. I do want to acknowledge this because you have a large audience, which is amazing, Russell. You've worked hard to build that audience. I know that there's somebody watching this right now is thinking, oh, well, I don't have 37,000 subscribers. And that's true. I mean, I think that's fine. The reality is I don't have 37,000 subscribers, but I've had plenty of clients who've been successful with just a handful of subscribers. And by that, I mean a large handful, like 100 or 500 or 1,000 email subscribers. So I just want to say that clearly that the majority of people who use my playbook actually don't even have 3,000 or 5,000 email subscribers. But of course, this works. It's going to be even easier with a large audience like yours, Russell. But I just want to say that as a disclaimer. It could be easier.
Something about
there's gonna be more noise, but we have a higher chance of success in my opinion. But yes, please, Russell, let's closing thoughts for today before we adjourn for today. And I will say, please, not only pre-order the book, but also subscribe so that you get notified. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, I think is what people say. I don't know you do that much, but subscribe so that you find out when we publish the next video in the series, because we're going to be following up next to find out how did people reply to the email? How did they reply? And what do we do next to get Russell sold out? So please, Russell, please share any comments you want to share with anybody before we wrap up for today.
I just want to say that the reason, okay, so when you have a large audience, it probably means you've put out a lot of content. It doesn't always mean that, but like for me, if you look behind me, you will see 80 books, and that's not even like the 300, 400, 500 email, podcast episodes or any of the other things that I have done. Like if you haven't put out a lot of work or you haven't put your thoughts on paper at all for people to say, then there is nothing they can default to. And you can do what you should do, which is work your way down the value ladder. So I have spent my life taking small books, like $20 books, and working up. And I'm finally like making a $2,000 plus premium coaching experience. But if you are smart and in sales, you would do the opposite. You would start with the high end and you would do what John says, which is like you need 3 offers. You need the go long, go wide, and go deep. And like the go deep is the coaching program, and then you can build the other things around it. So like I have done it the opposite way. So I don't recommend getting 40,000 subscribers before or really it's been like hundreds of thousands of subscribers because so many have like unsubscribed over time. I'm not even going to tell you how many have unsubscribed to get to that 40,000-ish number. But if you have 100 or 200 or 300 subscribers, it probably means you haven't put out enough work where your corpus is definable by somebody, your methodology is definable by somebody that can do it, that can put it together through things that you have said. So yes, there is a good chance that I will sell out, but I worry that and I told John, I think I told you this the first time we talked, like I worry that my stuff has been out there so much that like people are like, I don't need that. I'm just going to buy the book, which is why this 10X promise was so important for me to get right, because like this is something I have never taught before. Like it's something that I don't even have an article on right now, which is very hard to find in my corpus. You can get it on Joy Loop or as like a paid member, but in general, like this methodology is just not out there. I basically created this methodology around this offer so that it could be unique. But I am constantly being like, well, I have like 30 books. Like who's going to go through? Like who's going to not go through all of the books? And because like that's what I would do. But as you've told me, I'm not my ideal customer for this. So
right. Yeah, exactly. And also just add to that, like literally everything that I charge $10,000 or more for coaching is freely available in articles that I've written on the internet or podcasts, interviews that I've given. And so what we're selling here is not information, but it's guided implementation of that. Right. And so I think that I'm excited to see what comes out of that. So the email's out there. Russell, thank you so much for doing this live, and I'm curious to see what kind of replies you get. Actually, I'm curious. You can check real quick and see if you've gotten any already, but we'll follow up in our next video in terms of see what kind of replies did Russell get, how many replies, and what do we do with those to actually get the program sold out. And if you want to follow along with your own sold out group coaching program, then please go ahead and go to Sold Out Coach or scan this QR code. Man, I'm not really good at that. I don't know how they do that. You know, that people like make that look effortless of like looking at the digital thing on the screen. But scan that or go to soldout.coach to get your copy of the book and follow along with your own Sold Out Group Coaching program. So Russell, thank you again for doing this together. By the way, did you check? Did you get emails yet? I know it's been
I
like
got one email. I got one reply already.
All right. What did it say? Who's the first one?
It said, what precipitated this question and what are you thinking?
All right. So essentially, that's curiosity, right? That's like they're saying, tell me more. You know. So love that. So then your response is excellent. I'm glad to hear you're interested. Would you tell me a bit more about yourself and your current situation? Right.
I don't feel a lot about these people, but I'm going to send that exact email back out.
Amazing. Love it. All right. Russell, thank you much for your time and appreciate it. Hey, if you found this useful, if you would, yes, of course, subscribe, follow along, but also comment below as a thank you to Russell for being a guest, but also just in terms of any major takeaways as you're thinking about your offer, please comment on the video. I'd love to know what your takeaways are and keep up the good work.